Fast forward, you come our channel is so say GH Politics Avenue. Podcast or set trend because make headlines. Ne jemre na EDB action mo. Ne dimnya reaction mo measure so nya yam ko political highway sinu mo nya. Eye criminal court 4. Ho na eye lawyer and the appear could be nasem what they could dine court say Wontumi enye lawyer emma chemai Wontumi ebi mu no ene na ye ka no na judge no nsema odi tu edwa no lawyer and the appear could be Abandonment so abekase too harsh nsema okan ye no ebi ene say o say case wadi anima masisia no case no adrum pempensu bi na say wo so wu jai eye case na chiridi a na e kam yakoye say chemai Wontumi what na jeje mu a chese wa abandon no nti sa asema eye judge ne kan ye no na andi appear could be enso agina so enso etu enteskoko edi egu sa asem no so na mesrok say yemo enro eye story ni.
Many thanks for staying with us. Now, efforts by the lead counsel for the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Bernard Enchiboisiaku, popularly known as Chairman Wontumi, to withdraw his legal services in the ongoing Summer Boy trial suffered a major setback with judgment in the case scheduled for July 3. Now, Andy Appiah-Kubi had maintained over the past few weeks that the court was becoming too personal in its dealings with him, prompting his decision to step away from representing his clients. Now, the Attorney General subsequently raised a preliminary legal objection to the application. Now, delivering its ruling today, the Criminal Division of the Accra High Court dismissed the application, describing it as alien to the law and incompetent. Let's go live to the Accra High Court for more on this. Fatal, what more can you tell us from the courtroom?
MFA, so the trial judge, Kokuvite, in Criminal Court 4, basically said that before the commencement of this particular case, Wontumi came to court and introduced to them that Andy Appiah-Kubi was his counsel. So if Andy Appiah-Kubi has decided to step aside from this particular case, the Wontumi should have come again to inform the court that my lead counsel or my counsel wants to step aside, but that wasn't the case. And in fact, the court also said that Andy Appiah-Kubi could have also written a letter to the court telling the court that I want to step aside from this particular case instead of bringing a motion. So based on that, the judge dismissed this particular application, describing it as strange to the law and incompetent.
Well, Fatal, shortly after the court's ruling, Andy Appiah-Kubi surely reacted to the decision. What did he say?
Basically, Andy Appiah-Kubi in his response said that employment is not compulsory, and for that reason he has decided to step aside because he feels that the courts are getting too personal with him. He's made arguments over the period at various courts. They are either dismissed or he's not given a listening ear, and that is simply the reason why he has decided to say he wants to step aside from this particular case. We can listen to him.
Is it the way to go? Is this how we operate? 3 months, having filed a notice of appeal, I've filed additional grounds of appeal, everything, we're done. We expect that we will settle records. By now, maybe the appeal will have been heard. 3 months, the docket is still in the court. We can't get to the registry for records to be settled. And is this justice or is it an attempt to frustrate the hearing of the appeal? This is one of the reasons why we are also withdrawing. And today, we were in court. You saw what happened. The court is now becoming the bailiff. I was served by an officer of the court sitting a notice of preliminary legal objection. And is this done? Ordinarily, bailiffs are not supposed to even serve parties in the courtroom. We are served outside the court.
Fatal, so did he respond to claims that he's attempting to abandon his client?
He did, MFI, and basically he said that, in fact, the judge, as part of his head judgment, described, Appiah-Kubi's step as an abandonment of his client and all of that. And Appiah-Kubi said that that was a strong word to use in that particular judgment. He said that over the period, he has always stood by Chairman Wontumi. Their relationship is still very strong. And in fact, apart from this case, he is also leading Chairman Wontumi in other cases. So it is not the case that he is trying to abandon his client. We can listen to him.
I think it is ethical, rather, for the lawyer to do that and explain why, for the court to understand the disengagement, rather than for the accused person to come to court and inform the court that my lawyers have withdrawn. I think we wanted to do the better thing for the court to appreciate why, and also to demonstrate our commitment to our client up to now. And the words of the judge say that we have abandoned. Do you see any abandonment in the relationship that I have with my client? The answer is no. I have not abandoned him. But it is for reasons like what happened today that I wanted officially the court to be informed of decisions that we have.
Statistically, the numbers were converging at a point. But this time around, we are seeing a divergence in terms of the approval ratings. IEA is reporting a whopping 9 percentage point drop in terms of the President Mahama's job approval ratings, while Global Info Analytics, on the other hand, is reporting that, look, we are not seeing a drop. Per the people we spoke to, we can report that this has rather increased from 67 to about 71%. And for me, this is really interesting. Those of us in the space are asking big questions. How come same statistical models, random events, probability sampling is used, and we are seeing these, different results? But in terms of the gaps that we can point out, we are not saying errors. At the moment, we are asking for further and better particulars. For the IEA polls that we've studied so far, one thing that we realized was that the only issue had to do with the fact that most of the data they put out were approximated, right? Which in statistics is allowed that you can approximate from 67.8 to about 68%.
Yeah.
You are allowed to do that from 58.9 to about 59%.
Yeah.
That was the main issue we saw in terms of going through all the two reports. But for the Global Info Analytics report, we are seeing significant gaps, from methodology to grammatical errors to inconsistency to mislabeling in terms of the report that they put out. So for instance, Global Info Analytics says the interview closed about 9,000 respondents. And in fact, this 9,000 respondents, they categorized them into two different folds. So the first polling was for those face-to-face, which is about a little over 7,000. And then just about 15% were online or web. So the question we're asking is, in statistics, there's something we call double counting. So what did Global Info Analytics do to make sure that you don't interview the same person you interview face-to-face?
Because it's online.
Exactly, and then that person gets a chance to respond online, because we know some of these responses can inflate their numbers. One other concern we also saw, what we are raising, has to do with the fact that if you look at the distribution of the people that Global Info Analytics spoke to in terms of their political affiliation, you've got about more than 40% of them saying that, well, we are NDC. About 29 or close about 30% saying that we are NPP.
Okay.
So definitely, you could see that can also inflate the result.
I know that the IEA sample size covered the 16 regions.
Yes.
Would it be the same for the...
Same for Global Info Analytics.
Okay.
But the only thing is that Global Info Analytics, according to them, say they interviewed close to 9,000 people. IEA is about a little above 1,000. Right? But the Global Info Analytics, there's a fundamental statistical question that we are raising about how they were able to combine the two. Because you said face-to-face, and you're combining with online and making conclusions, because there are concerns about double counting and other statistical, gaps that may have arrived. We are not calling them errors at this point. We are only asking for further and better particulars. So we are continuing to study the data. We'll continue to study the data, and the report will come out with more of this analysis. But the interesting thing is that two separate organizations using almost the same statistical
Quantitative,
methodology.
and if you stay with me.
I mean, what you see is
For quantitative methods, you really can't be wrong. It's not qualitative, right? But you stay with me. Joining me via Zoom is Executive Director of Global Info Analytics, Musa Dankwa. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure that you were following the analysis by our lead data researcher here at Joy News. And he's quite concerned about possible gaps. Would you like to respond to this first?
Yes, thank you very much. We have in recent times adopted a multiple model of survey. This is to address the emerging trends in polling. We have realized that a lot of people are on social media, so it's a good place to get a sample. And indeed, only 10% of Ghanaian voters are not on social media. So in fact, if you have a very good instrument, you can do all your survey on social media and you'll be correct. At the same time, we deployed in 84 constituencies for the face-to-face. We did not do double counting. People that did the survey online did not have a chance to do it in the face-to-face. But online, we don't know actually where they were.
What tool did you use to be certain as to whether the people that answered your questions online are in the same people in person?
We asked them. Did you?
So you depend on the answer the respondents will give, whether or not you were part of the sample size that partook in the previous in-person questioning as to whether they're the same person, and we expect that the answer will be accurate. You depend on entirely their answers?
No, every response they give to you, you assume they are correct. They are being truthful. Otherwise, how would you take the response they've given you about the performance or any other measure?
Did the sample size 9,000 cover all 16 regions?
The 84 constituencies we covered. And we sample people who have not taken part. Even though the probability of them being on the online survey is remote, we still ask them to take them out if there were any people who have done it online.
84 constituencies, was it evenly distributed, or it had most of the constituencies a little at par than the other political parties they may belong to?
No, we don't sample based on political party control. We assign the national sample to every region based on the number of people who vote in that region first. That's the first step.
Did any of your questionnaires include which political parties? Please go on.
Let me land so people could understand the approach. You determine how many people you interview in the region using the EC as a sample frame. And then we randomly selected constituencies. 30% of constituencies were picked randomly from each region. Then you assign the sample to those constituencies based on the voters who vote in that constituency. So it's not pick and choose where you want to vote. It is done randomly by a computer simulation system.
Okay, so I was asking, though I acknowledge the point you make that you don't ask according to the party. I'm only asking that in this 84 constituencies, in your questionnaires that you administered to the respondents, did any of the question include which political party do you belong to, empathize or sympathize with at all?
Right. If you look at the questionnaire, the very last question we ask people is your party affiliation, not the first question.
Okay.
So when we do that, we've been doing this over the past how many years? If you randomly pick people on the street of Ghana today, averagely, 45% of them will say they are NDC and 25% will say they are MPP. It's random. The question of which party support is the last question we ask you. So it does not influence the answers you give to us. We don't know who you are when we are engaging you in the field until we are done. So if you send anybody today to the country, out of every 100 people you interview, 45 at least will say they are NDC openly.
Please stay with me. My colleague Kovi is here. He's got a few questions for you.
Yeah. I mean, Mr. Musa, there was one other thing we also
we en sama horo tim ko so chena no so am no so jembre da sene so ba dia dum be edomenia ye be san asom